They Money Mitch put him in a ditch, and Michaela Timpson treating the Chicago Sky like a bunch of Simpsons. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Kelsey Money Mitchell erupted today.
So, let me clarify this. No Ariel Atkins, no Angel Reese, and no Caitlin Clark. We still got a thriller, though. This game has it all, man. Kelsey Mitchell lost her mind.
Indiana Fever walk in to Chicago, the United Center, no Caitlin Clark, and they walk out with a W 93-70.
I'm referring to surgical accuracy, 35 points, and complete takeover mode. Additionally, she managed to steal the show despite Clark's lack of a suit. It was her vibe, her admirers, and her presence. Every time she smiled, the arena seemed to tilt. For Indiana, this victory went beyond a simple regular season victory. It served as a reminder. The fever is severe. That girl is Mitchell. Additionally, even when Caitlin Clark is not playing, her shadow cannot be avoided. Let's face it, most people assumed this game would be mediocre at best when the injury list was out. No Angel Reese, no Caitlin Clark. That means two of the biggest box office stars in the league are no longer there. However, what took place? A straight-up conflict. Both teams came to hoop from the first tip. And praise be to the Sky, they continued to fight even without their best hounds. That was the biggest surprise to me. Chicago held them tight for far too long, even though I thought Indiana would roll them early. What do you suppose the reason is? Did Indiana engage in sleepwalking? Was it pride that Chicago was playing for? Perhaps both. In any case, the fun part of this was that it wasn't a blowout. No issue, no stars. Sometimes the finest basketball is played in games that don't make the headlines. Players attempting to prove themselves, unexpected performances, and gritty plays are all included. This was the way it felt. Although it wasn't flawless, the battle was genuine. Has your opinion of either team changed as a result of this game? Because I'm leaving with a greater regard for Chicago and a few more inquiries regarding Indiana. Let's discuss Kelsey Mitchell, the flamethrower. She scored more than just 35. Every minute belonged to her. Furthermore, I'm not referring to that chuck every shot type of evening. No, this was calm, calculated, and effective. She made it look easy as she shot 7 for 10 from beyond the arc and 63% from the field.
This is absolutely a one-sided rivalry. And we've got to say it like it is. Like, we can't say Caitlin needs to do this, Caitlin needs to do that. Let's be real. The only reason this is still a rivalry is because the other side of the rivalry won't stop it. And by the way, it is extremely beneficial for Angel Reese to be in this rivalry.
Without a doubt, this was her greatest game of the year. Perhaps the greatest fever show since Clark's Barbie night eruption. Here's the true lesson, though. It wasn't forced by Mitchell. She had a rhythm to her playing. She was a clever player. She stepped away from the ball. Yes, she made some difficult shots, but they were also good shots. That's the distinction. 6 assists were even dropped by her. Additionally, I believe Kelsey might have reached 40 if Clark had been on the floor with her. Actually, she made wise choices. Scoring wasn't the only factor. Setting the tone was the goal. And she did just that. Therefore, I must ask, will we see this Kelsey Mitchell more frequently? Was this a one-night heat check, or what? Because if she continues like this, she will easily become a WNBA star, and not just an all-star. Additionally, kudos to the Sky defense, or absence of it. It's still unclear to me how they managed to protect her. Alright, I never would have guessed, but I was somewhat impressed by the Sky. Yes, I am aware that they lost by a margin of 15, but if you watch the game, you'll see that the score isn't the only thing that matters. In weeks, perhaps months, without Angel Reese or Ariel Atkins, this was the most heartfelt thing I've seen from them. They had the option to simply mail it in, but they chose not to. They engaged in combat. They made tremendous shots. The real Rachel Banham emerged. Beck Allen made some clutch three-pointers. The Sky made the Fever fight for it each time they attempted to retreat. I respect that portion. See, I understand. Although the phrase moral victory is disliked, you have to settle with less when your season has been as difficult as Chicago's. In fact, they appeared to be a true team in this one. They fought, had chemistry, and, dare I say it, were competent. It was gritty, but not attractive. Thus, may I ask you if this marks a sea change for the Sky, or if it was merely a brief attempt before everything collapsed once more? I'm not sure. However, they appeared to care for once. And that has some value. Can we discuss KK Timpson? How unexpected. This girl played like a lottery choice and entered as a last-minute addition. She scored 14 points in less than 20 minutes, and each bucket seemed to have a highlight film attached. She glides through the air like a real glider. She has Michael Jordan arms, according to someone online, and I'm not even offended by it. It's her bounce, wingspan, and movement style. It's a strange move. She's also raw. She's not simply flash. Yes, but she defends herself as if her life depended on it and gets a lot of abuse. For her, the Fever even performed a lob play. When was the last time you seen a rookie forward do that? Her vitality was what caught my attention the most. In the second half, she gave Cardoso a mediocre appearance. She created. Deflections filled up holes and generally provided chaos, the good sort. We could be looking at an all-star in a few years if Indiana develops her properly. Not a joke. Now, I don't want to be critical, but we must be honest. Natasha Howard checked out totally. No rebounds, no points. She didn't even appear to want to be on the court. And that's crazy because she's one of the league's most elusive forwards when she's locked in. However, this game has ghost mode. Lastly, there is Aari McDonald. The eye test indicates differently, yet the box score indicates 10 points. She was messy, poor choices, live ball turnovers, and a lack of tempo control. Yarwai would kill it with a hurried shot or a poor pass each time Indiana began to gain ground. Veterans had to keep the ship afloat in this game. They made it more shaky instead. I understand now. Even though everyone has bad nights, Howard's effort was completely lacking. I can't overlook that portion. Why is that happening? Is it the game? Did she lose her mind? After a performance like this, should Stephanie White publicly criticize the players? Tell me your thoughts. This was alarming because it wasn't just awful game stuff. Lexi Hull and Chloe BBY were out here making every minute as some veterans vanished. First, let's talk about Lexi. Even when her shot wasn't going as planned, she hustled like never before. She's the kind of player you want on the floor when things go tough. Her enthusiasm simply boosts the team as she dives for lost balls and closes out fiercely. Chloe Baby Red Kryptonite comes next. She appeared to have been in the lineup the entire season despite this being her first game with the Fever. She outscored Natasha Howard and scored 8 points in less than 11 minutes. Consider that. Bibby exuded crazy confidence. Like she belonged, she shot it. She does, to be honest. The game is altered when players such as Hull and Baby contribute. Stars aren't always important. It all comes down to timing, toughness, and fighting spirit. You're not seeing depth while you watch this Fever team. You don't look closely enough. I would ride the hot hand and let these hounds feast, so if you're Stephanie White, would you give BBY more minutes going forward? Okay, let's take a moment to discuss coaching. Despite only winning by 15 points, it felt much closer than it actually was. There were times when it appeared as though Chicago might win, particularly in the late third and early fourth innings. Why? Due to Indiana's continued tolerance of their presence. To be completely honest, I'm beginning to doubt some of Stephanie White's choices. Kelsey Mitchell is cooking the skies for more than 30 points.